Hi, I'm Jackie and welcome to Squid Ink. Today I have these mango water soluble oil pastels and I'm very excited. I was very excited to try these. I got these. I saw them. They looked fun. So I taken my stabby. I'm opening up the oil pastels and here they are in all their glory. Look at them. There's quite a nice array of colors here. So I have my sketchbook out as always and I'm setting them to the side and we're going to go ahead and swatch all of them. We even swatched the white, even though you can't bloody see it. We swatched it anyways, because it's there. And my swatches are slightly getting higher every time I do one. That's a little, weird. Now, these were actually very interesting. I'm gonna be honest, like, they were quite soft and smooth. Like, they were fairly nice, which honestly kind of surprised me. So if I remember correctly, these were pretty cheap. You know? So then they really did pretty smooth. They like activated well with water, I would say. Then I did like a little Casey Golden sort of like blend testing going on here. And then I did like a little layer test. Once again, very Casey Golden-esque in my swatch. Oh, and I noticed right here that like the orange it's broken. Like you can tell that like the top is like about to like come out of its little protective sleeve. So yeah, I did their little blend test, and with that, I moved right on to making some thumbnails. I had an idea in my mind, because I wanted to use as many colors as possible. Like, if I skipped out on, like, a few, that would be fine, but I wanted to use as many as possible. So I decided that maybe one of my characters with, like, a unnatural skin tone would, like, be better. So I just sketch a little bit, sketch one of my characters flying, her little poofy dress and everything in the air, doing her thing, and I drew like one of her just standing, her arm out like woo, and doing like a a superhero pose. So I pulled some Canson pastel paper and I get to sketching with a color erase. I think this is a color rose pencil. You can't really see my sketches. I am sorry. I'm going to kind of skim over this piece of the video because you can't really see it, but that's the point. I kind of went with something that had the vibe of the last sketch. This is my original character, Boo, and she's a ghost. So she's just gonna be like, I sort of drew just like floating above like some land or whatnot, like looking to the side. You can't really see her face, which I thought was actually a good idea. Since these are oil pastels, there's not gonna be a ton of details in them, even though they are water soluble. I probably could have BS'd something with that, but like, that's besides the point. I kind of hit her face a little bit because I was worried about getting detail in. So I did that. I sketched her all in. Then I decided I was going to tape down the edges just to make sure that it was not going to like, warp tremendously. So I was starting off with the background. I decided that the birdie. I decided that the background would be a sunset gradient, just to try to use, oh, there goes the orange pastel, there it goes. So I decided it would be like a sunset gradient to try to use as many colors as possible. So I go from yellow to orange. I try to blend them in a little bit, because they are oil pastels. So then that just kind of, means they should blend really well. Then I'm going up to this little pink color, give really nice, like, warmth to everything. Then do I not have a red? No, I have a red. I'm surprised I didn't use the red. I think that's just I was using that for a different thing. Never mind. Okay, that's fine. I'm questioning my own decisions. Oh my god. Then of course I did the very top in blue, just to add that in just a little bit. And I also didn't want the background just to be entirely blue, because that's my character's main base. That's like her skin tone and her hair color is all blue, so that I didn't want to use that all throughout the sky and all over her. So sunset it was. And then I was taking my little paintbrush and I am just trying to like blend it out as much as possible, add a little more pigment straight from the back of the pastel, just to try make it like pop. So I just sort of go through and I do that. Once again, I try to clean my brush every so often, so that way it's not like draining too much of color up. It sort of just is blending into the pure of the new color, I guess. Like, it's not like the entire area of the pink isn't like I got covered in orange. Adding a little bit more pastel there just to try, you know, get more pigment. That's the word. Thank you. I apparently cannot think of any of the words I need. But I just go through, try to sort of make sure I don't let anything dry out too much. I'm using quite a bit of water to try and make sure I don't have any weird streaking going on, birdie. So I'm just going to go through. I'm now doing the blue, which you can't really see, so we'll just skip over that. Now I'm doing this little spot that's in between her arm. And I'm going to go over the background just a little bit more, just to, like, you know, give it another layer. Make sure it's, like, fairly smooth, right? Or purposefully textured. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's kind of what I'm trying to go through and do. So just add my pastels. I take my paintbrush back to it, and we're going through once again, just in the exact same way. Getting the blue, getting the pink, and it's a lot smoother. It looks quite a bit better. Even though the paper's not exactly meant for what I'm doing, it's fine. I'm taking now the green pastels, and I'm going to do, I'm making like the land that's like below her, like green, sort of. So I'm using my 2 shades of I'm using my 2 shades of green, and just going for it, painting it all in, and then I'm going to take my paintbrush and just smooth it all out. Smooth it the crud out, and make sure it's all like nice and everything. So I'm just going to go through, and now like the composition of this painting oil pastel illustration thing is a little weird. I'm going to give it that. I could have definitely done better with my background, but you know, I mean, like, it's a step into doing the right sort of practicing my backgrounds. But I'm moving right along into doing her next. So I started off with a layer of the blue, added some shadows with the dark blue, and now I am blending them to crud out. I'm taking dark blue in, just a quick little layer. I'm adding in some little shiny bit on this slate to try and make sure that they are, you know, different enough so you can, like, actually, like, differentiate the legs. So I'm doing that. I'm pushing out fairly hard to try and make it so it's super smooth. And I'm attempting to do the hands. And as you can notice, I did not take my paintbrush to her skin. So I had the idea, I was like, well, what if the background's like entirely or almost entirely just bloody, what's the word? Blended with the paint in the paint-like technique. And she's just like, you know, just pure oil pastel sort of idea. So that's kind of what we went for. I'm starting off with her dress. I'm painting it. I'm coloring it in with a base layer of pink, and then the underside I'm coloring in with like a base of red, just to, you know, start off darker for shadows. I'm using the purple color as the big shadow for underneath. I add a whole bunch of purple. I try to blend it out. I take the red to it to try to re-blend it out, make it super smooth. I'm using my finger. I am just trying my darndest to get it to be as smooth as possible, like that, and it looks pretty good. So I move on to the other side. Once again, I've taken the purple in there with the red, just blending it out. I don't know why I put that away. I feel like I might use that later, but whatever. Questioning myself again. Just trying my hardest to blend it out, not get it on the upper side of the dress, and try not to get it on her legs either, or the background. So yep, there it comes back to purple. I don't know what I was doing. I use my finger, just blend it out like you would regular oil pastels. Now I'm going up to the top of the dress, where I'm going to use the red and the pink. Because her dress is supposed to be like, I don't actually, you know, her design's a little weird. Like, it needs some work. But I believe her dress is supposed to be like a red color, and that's what I was going for. I was going to use the pink as like a highlight. And then I was going to use the red as like, oh, it's slightly darker this area. So that's kind of what I did. I made part of the dress pink and had like a little white highlight to it to make it pop. And blended the rest out into like just the red. Now I'm going to start with base layer on her little top, her like bodice and her sleeves with pink. Once again, just to make sure it's, you know, all the same as her dress, of course. And now I'm adding in just the little bits of red. Just, you know, to show that, you know, her dress actually is red. It just has a lot of pinky sort of lighter pops because it's the sunset. That's what I attempted to go for. The lighting's not the best. I really need to practice that. But that's fine. Like, this illustration was really quite fun. It was fun. Very laid back, very, like, blobby. It was a good time making this. It was nice. And these oil pastels were actually really quite fun to play with. Just having the fact that like you could make them into like watercolors, you just use them like oil pastels. It was really fun. I said these were quite nice. They were fairly smooth. And like, are they the nicest oil pastels in the world? Definitely not, but they were fun. You know, that's definitely a big part of what matters. So, I liked them. Now I'm going to go in and do her face. The only like really bit of her face you'd see are like her lips and her nose. Or you can't, like a little tiny bit of her nose, like right by her hair. So you can't really see any, like her eyes or any extremely detailed anything like that. So I just kind of like go in with the darker and I kind of like sort of, you know, put those in, and then I did my base of the light blue, and now I'm just going to go through and try to like blend it all out and make sure you definitely tell the difference between her head and her neck and everything. Make sure it makes sense, and just try to make it look good. Adding in blush and shadows with my blue and whatnot. You know, the thing I always question most when I do my characters that have like a fantastical skin tone is, what color do I make the blush? Should I just make the blush like a darker variant of their skin? Like, I almost feel like their blush then should be a darker, brighter variant of their skin. In this case, I didn't really have that, so I just had to use the darker blue. But like, it makes me wonder if I should have ever like used, like, I struggle sometimes if I should still use pink. You know what I mean? Like I never know what color to use for their blush. So in general, just use the darker version of their skin. But I feel like it should be darker and brighter almost. Kind of like how actual blush is. It's a little bright. I'd pop, essentially. I'm being off track here. But I'm moving swiftly onto her hair after I finished up her face. Gotta blend it out, looking good. I'm going to do the dark shadows of her hair in with the purple. And I'm going to make it like her head's fairly shadowed. And I made sure that like all the spots that touch the blue parts of her, like her skin and her head and her arm and whatnot, are in shadow with the purple. So that way I am free to sort of just like color it in slightly blue, but it'll be different enough to where you can still see her face versus her hair, if that makes sense. So I kind of just go in, I make most of the hair dark on the one side. I had like its little bright spot at this back bit here, and now I'm just going to go through and smooth the crud out. Add in some light blue in some spots just to try and have a little pop. Try add in, just blend it all with the dark blue as much as possible for that nice gradiating shadow that I like so much. Oh my god. And I'm just pushing hard with these little things, just try to get them to, I mean, like, I guess I'm not pushing that hard, but I'm pushing fairly hard. It would have been better if I probably recorded this video closer to when I actually did this piece of art, but that's fine. It's fine. I could definitely remember everything. So I'm just going to go through and smooth them out. I think, actually, these were really smooth in my sketch, but like, if I remember correctly. But I think this paper had a little bit more of a struggle because the paper was super textured because it was the pastel paper. I think this is where I'm having the struggle, which is why I'm layering so much. Now that I have like all the light bits in, it's like fairly smooth and whatnot. I added in some strands with the dark blue, kind of blend those out, blend in the purple a little more, add in more strands to make it look a little bit more hair-like, you know. And then I'm moving on to, she wears this like little belt corset-y thing, and I just colored that in black, you know, just make it a basic black belt corset thing. I add in a little bit of white, give it a little bit of dimension, you know, just like there's light coming from this direction. That's what we're doing. And I just finished that off, and I'm going into one of the very last details is the clouds. I'm going over the entirety of the clouds with the white pastel, of course, and just trying to make sure that, like, you know, they are, you know, fairly good looking. Just like trying to make sure they're like mainly white, and then I add in a little shadow of pink at the very bottom, blending that out. And now I'm moving on to her belt, and I'm adding a little bitty heart detail onto her belt. So I thought that would be super cute. So she has a little heart on her belt now. It's adorable. And I sign my name. I take off the tape, and with that, this illustration is done. Unfortunately, the tape did bleed, like let the colors bleed a little bit, but oh well. The illustration's done. It looks pretty good. I'm quite happy with this. I like it. I like it. But as always, that's all the time we have today. Hey, I hope y'all have an amazing day, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye!